and tell us what's up and running in the real estate business. And also, he's going to talk to us about owning your home and then your 40 acres. Yeah, go ahead and get your parents on, get your sisters and brothers, your cousins. You know how they used to tell us we want our 40 acres in a mule. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm excited about it because I know that there's some people out there that, real estate now is hot. It is really hot. And so if you are wanting to buy a home, you're tired of renting, or you just want to have some information concerning real estate, I'm telling you, get on now, Facebook Live. We are out here trying to just help people to discover and to obtain real estate, because that's where wealth is. That's where investing is right now. And so we just want you to go ahead and tell those friends of yours to get on right now. Go ahead and text them and say, hey, jump on, especially if you have a friend or a family member that's about to buy a home. So jump on right now so we can just allow you to see and hear the good information that Thomas Moore has. Thomas Moore, we just want to say hello to you. Hello to you, Thomas. We can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. I had to unmute myself. Somebody muted me. Hello, how are you doing today?
Doing great. I'm so glad that you're on the show. I know you have a wealth of information. We hear that you are Yolanda Moore's brother. And so, hey, we are super excited on what you can share to the audience on today. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on your show and present some knowledge, because that's what I'm about, helping people help themselves.
Amen. So before we get into about real estate, I just want to, like I do every Wednesday, I want to give them about what this month is about. This is July, like I said, and it is National Independent Retailers Month. And it is observed annually in July, and it's a month-long observation, and it offers an opportunity for us to show local small businesses appreciation. So guess what? Go ahead and find someone a small business. Okay. We already know about these bigger business, Walmart, Costco, and all of those, but go and reach out to a small business and help them by showing, buying something and show some appreciation to them this month. And then today, July 7th, is the National Father-Daughter Take a Walk Day. I don't know about here in Maryland. It's about 93 degrees. So I don't know if you want to take a walk right now. But later on today, I told my husband, hey, it's Daughter and Father Day. You going to take a walk? He said, I don't know. But I know Arizona is probably hotter than here. So about 100 and some degrees in Arizona. So, but today is National Father and Daughter Take a Walk Day. So for those who want to do that later on this evening, that bonding time is so important. And they observe this annually on July 7th. This day promotes the benefits of family bonding time between fathers and daughters, as well as the benefit of physical activity. And I know each and every father who has a daughter, how my husband and my daughter, they get together and watch football. They do all kinds of things together. So putting in that physical exercise is going to be very beneficial for both of them. So we want to just jump right into this, Thomas, and I want to just share with the audience who they're speaking with, so they won't think that, we just got somebody, a handsome young man sitting up here, he does know his stuff. So Thomas Moore is a man of God who is a member of Generation Church in Mesa, Arizona, and serves on the production team. He is a retired United States Marine, hoorah,
Hoorah.
15 years of active duty service. I can say that because I'm a Marine wife.
All right.
And he has earned his Bachelor of Science in Real Estate from W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University. He's also a member of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And Thomas is a realtor and the owner and designated broker of American Homefront Realty, a real estate brokerage focused on helping people achieve the American dream of home ownership, regardless of their level of influence. So, Thomas, why should anybody want to buy their place of residence rather than rent? First question for you.
First question. Okay, I got some notes here for you. So it's all about retained value. Okay, when you rent, right, your house or the place that you're living, you don't hold any value in that. That value is passed on to the owner of that property. But however, if you live in a house, a lot of people like to say buying a house is an investment, and that's not really true. Buying the house that you live in is an asset. You are acquiring an asset that has value through time. So that's the big part, is that you own the place where you're staying. When you spend money on your rent every month, if you spend $1,200, if you spend $800, after that month, that $1,200 or $800 is gone, and you have no value from it. You have no benefit from it. Then there's the tax benefit that you get from ownership. If you own a house, annually, you get the benefit from the IRS. You get every dollar that you pay in interest on that loan that you had to get to acquire that house, dollar for dollar, you get an income reduction for that house. So even if you paid $10,000, $12,000 of interest for your house, when you go to do your taxes at the end of the year, dollar for dollar, that's $12,000 that you get to take off of or reduce your gross earned income. And then the last reason why it's better to own than to rent is we all move around. So when you move, there comes the time for you to leave. When you leave a rental house, you're just gone. You pack up your stuff and you say, okay, see you later, I'm moving to the next spot. When you leave a house that you own, you have the ability, and you should, sell the house or keep it for generations to live in. When you sell that house, you immediately recoup most of the money that you had to stay in that house. The entire time you stayed in that house basically becomes free, because real estate over time accrues in value, which means it increases in value, which means you bought it at $5, you're going to sell it at $7. You got that seven, and I'm talking about $100,000 here. Okay. So when you sell it, you have that $200,000 of profit. And as long as that profit doesn't exceed $250,000 if you're single, or $500,000 if you're married, guess what? You don't even have to report that increase as income. You get no taxes on the capital gains from the house you were living in. So that's why you should buy instead of renting.
Wow, I like that. I remember when I actually purchased a condo back in 1990. And the condo was real cheap back then. But then maybe 15 years later, when my husband came along and we wanted to purchase another home, I had so much equity in that condo that I got, it tripled the amount. And so what you're saying far as owning a home, is better than renting. It is definitely. I even tried to get an apartment, but I couldn't. But I was able to buy a home, and I didn't understand that. So thank you so much for sharing that information to let people know that it's better to buy. What do you think? And I'm sure this is not one of the questions we asked you. What do you think are some of the fears of people not wanting to buy?
Well, fear is a lie. First, I want to say that fear is a lie. You have to put yourself in a situation. Unfortunately, especially for uh, minorities or people that have been minimized, is they haven't been educated properly. And that's the first
Good.
thing. Once you know the system, you can play the game. It's like you have to know the rules. And I think a lot of people have fear because they think, oh, I don't make enough money to buy a house, or I'm only going to be here for a little while, or I don't know if I could afford this house. Well, the house you can afford may not be your dream house just because of your income level, but you can always afford a house. If you can afford to pay rent somewhere, there's a house that you can afford to own. So I think fear is basically lack of knowledge. I want to say that. That's the number one thing people have fear because they don't know. It's relatively maybe not easy or simple, but it's a process, just like everything else that you can learn to do.
I totally agree. And, I've heard some different answers far as why people don't buy a home. They are, like you said, they don't have the education to know that, just because you're making a certain amount, it doesn't matter because you are paying rent somewhere. So,
Exactly.
I mean, if you're paying the rent, then you're able to make that payment. And so it is a lot of people out here, minorities that are afraid to step out, on faith, take a risk. And, that's the thing, taking a risk. And then, some of the comments I heard is, I don't have the money to take care of the house once I get it. In other words, if something broke down, I mean, how can I afford that? I can barely, afford the mortgage. And so what would you say to people saying those things?
Well, to people saying those things, I would say take care of your future. It's you brush your teeth so you don't get cavities. You eat food so you survive. Learn to manage what's important because this is an asset. It's something that has value, and you just have to care for it. If you care for it properly, then you don't have to worry about stuff breaking down and you not having a plan because you've already put aside, you know if you have a dishwasher that's been on the fritz and is about to break, or a washer or a dryer. So you plan for that and you put that little money aside so the day it does break, hey, I have the money already saved up to take care of that. What happens is people sometimes live above their means and they
Yes.
try to get too much too fast. And that's what happens to those people. They don't plan for negative things that happen in life. We're all blessed, but we all have to go through trials also.
Yeah.
So prepare for the trials so that you can pass the trial and be done. Okay. And then continue your life.
Wonderful. So what are some of the steps if I was to purchase my home in any other real estate asset? What are the steps for that?
Okay. We live in a world that's managed or run by credit. So that's number one. You need to be aware of your current credit score, your current credit situation. So you need to manage that credit situation so it optimizes your score. Now, there's all kinds of algorithms that they use to, they got the Fair Isaac, they have the other score, Experian and TransUnion. All those agencies do that. They specialize in that. But the bottom line is you make your payments on your debt. So when you make your payments on your debt, make them on time. That's the first thing you need to do. And you're shooting for a score of at least 640. If you're below 640, find out why you're below 640 and try to accelerate the process of reaching at least a 640. If you're 725 or higher, especially 740, you're golden. You're pretty much, you're going to get a loan no one's going to worry about. So you have to, second thing you want to do is understand your debt to income ratio. And that's really, really simple. Is if you count all your debts that you pay every month, right? Including your electricity, your house, mostly your installment payments, whether it's for a car, whether it's for something else that you bought that was expensive, you had to pay. What you have to do is add up all those debts and then just divide them by how much gross income you make. And that's your debt to income ratio. And what most lenders shoot for to what they call a qualified loan is you need to have a debt to income that's less than 43%. So if you are spending every dime you're making, you don't have a very good debt to income ratio. You need to have what they call the ability to pay. And if you don't have the ability to pay, why would anyone lend you money when they know you can't pay them back? So,
because I got paid. I got paid, Thomas.
Well, faith, sometimes, most times, faith alone is not paying the bills. Faith in that good job is what's paying the bills because you're getting a good paycheck from that. Okay. So if you have the qualified mortgage, less than 43% debt to income, then what you need to do, the last step you need to do when you get ready to pull the trigger is you need to understand that when you purchase a home, even if you get down payment assistance where you don't really have to come out your pocket for that much money, what you really need to realize, there's a thing called closing costs. And those closing costs, most of the time you can be negotiated, where the seller might pay some of them, but it's about normally 2% of the cost of your home. You need to at least have that money saved up so that you can close escrow in a timely manner and with no objections on your part. You've got the money, you can close, just like when you save for that washer or save for that broken dryer. Now, I have some numbers here. The average price in the U.S. as of May of 2021 was $287,148. That will get you a nice house in most places. Wow. That's the average house cost. Now, 2% of that is $5,743. So if you can take your time and save a couple $100 at a time, once you get to that 5,700 mark, you can afford the closing costs. You can afford to close escrow to take ownership of that property. Now, make sure that money is what we call cured also. So that means it has to show a history of being in the bank account. Because, there's a lot of folks who have some money that's not necessarily accountable. I'll just leave it at that. And so if you go to buy a house, that's one of the things they check, your last 3 months or 2 months of your bank statement. And if that money wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it appears, the banks and the lenders and the federal government, the man, is going to wonder where that money came from. But if it's been there for 3 months or more, nobody's even worried about it. So if you're going to do that quick deposit, do it 3 months before you go ahead and want to buy your house.
Well, that's some good information there, Thomas.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to deliver. That's exactly what I'm trying to deliver. And then a lot of people think, oh, I got to have 10% down. I got to have 20% down. Now, that is kind of a fallacy, but true. If you have 10% down, then spend that. And in the case of the example I gave earlier, that 10% comes up to $28,175. I don't got $28,000 just sitting around where I can dump into a house. Okay. But you do have plans like FHA and the loan there, you only have to have 3.5%. So that's just over 10 grand. So it may take some time, but you can achieve the goal of home ownership by planning. And the good thing about that is it prepares you to plan for the ownership. If you could have saved your money to get your 3.5% plus your 2.5% or 2%, closing costs, then you're prepared to be a homeowner. You've done responsible saving, and then you're just going to take a small portion of that and keep saving it for when things go wrong in the house. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the better way to be rather than be reactionary. Because when you're reactionary, you never know where you're going to end up. You just don't. That's
Yes.
why you got a spare tire on your car. So when you get a flat, the spare is there for you to put on and be able to get the new tire fixed. Well, that
That's
savings for your house is your spare tire.
yes. Now we have a very competitive market right now. It's like a bidding war, making it very difficult to purchase a home. What would you
Right.
tell anyone out there that's going through, this bidding war? Do you have any advice for them on how to seek and purchase a home?
Okay, I just want to say right now, today's market is crazy. I've been doing this since 2006, and I've never been as I want to say overwhelmed by the market. I've written in the last couple of months, I've written 11 offers that have all been rejected or not chosen because of that bidding war, for several different clients. And these clients, they have their number. They've even bid above their number, but still within their means, and they still get outbid. So it's really a hard market right now. And what I would say to people who are in that situation, maybe consider a new build, but they're also more expensive. Maybe consider an older home, which you can get for less money and have the expectation to put some TLC in it, make it your own,
Mm,
right? Because uh, the market is a challenge right now for buyers. It is. It's definitely a seller's market. It's a challenge for buyers, but that doesn't mean that you can't get in where you fit in, you
right,
know?
right. Yeah, I've heard several of my girlfriends having to, they're renting right now. And, I see the blessing of the Lord just pushing them out so they can buy their own home. But their landlords are pushing them out within 30 days to 60 days because they are wanting to sell because of they know that they can sell during this season. So it's tough, but
Yeah,
it's doable. I mean, it is definitely doable. Um,
it's doable, but right now it's tough. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We're in that arena right now where the sellers are taking advantage of the opportunity, and it's simply because we it's supply and demand. You know how supply and demand works. When you got a lot of supply of something and hardly any demand, the price will shrink. But because of the pandemic, because of hold, because of resource allocation, there's many reasons why even builders are having problems getting materials now.
yeah, yeah,
So because now the supply has shrunk, but the demand stayed the
yeah,
same.
that's
So
true.
since the demand stayed the same and there's less supply, oh, they can charge more for this little bit that they
Wow,
have,
wow.
and that's basically what's happening right now. And unfortunately, it is pricing a lot of people out of the ability to buy. But what I'm saying, if you got like your girlfriend there, what she needs to do is hold on tight. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with renting in this situation. Maybe she wants to extend her lease for 3 to 6 months. This is going to flatten out.
Yes,
And when it flattens out, there's so many homes being built now. When it flattens out, then it's going to be a more even market
right,
where the seller doesn't have this great advantage.
right.
So I just want to say, don't give up on that dream of home ownership. Just wait till the time is right, because if you buy your house at an inflated rate right now, you might qualify. Maybe you can buy that house. But like you mentioned earlier, Pastor Jay, is you have equity. And
Yes.
if you go into a house in a negative equity situation, then you have to wait it out. This is what happened a lot in 2006, 7, and 8 when we had the tumble down. That's
Yes.
not going to happen this time because the banks are smart lending, but don't give your money away to the vapors, is what I say. Is when you're buying a house that's only worth 120, don't pay 150 for it, because the day you move in, you're $30,000 in
Right.
negative equity.
Yes.
You want to buy the house at 120, it's worth 120 at 120 or 115 if you can. Because then when you walk in your front door, you
Yes.
already made $5,000.
Yes. Yes.
Simple as that.
Absolutely. Okay, so with the internet and Zillow, Open Door, and other online do-it-yourself methods to purchase, can anyone buy real estate themselves and without a professional?
Okay, now I just want to comment big on this because everybody loves the internet. And I'm not hating on Zillow and Open Door, but here's the big thing. Everyone has their own best interests at hand. That's that's what they care about the most, their own best interests. Zillow cares about Zillow. Open Door cares about Open Door, right? A regular, let's say, real estate agent that's not a realtor, realtor, just like you get realtor up sometimes. Okay, that that regular person has their best interest. As a realtor, we have what we call code of ethics, and we actually become fiduciaries to our clients. And a fiduciary simply means we will place your needs above our own. We will do what's best for you, not what's best for us. So I've a lot of times found a house that had a lower commission than I'd like to get, but it was the best house for my clients. So I steered them, or I helped direct them towards their choice. I agreed. I did what I needed to do to make sure that they got that property that was best for them, even though the other property might have been best for me as far as, me making my money. So the big thing about Zillow or anything else is you don't have representation. You
Okay.
don't have a professional on your side. I am a professional. Realtors are professionals. We take courses, we train, we learn the market, we know the process, we explain the process, hopefully, to you so that you will gain some knowledge about it. But if you sell your house through Zillow or Open Door or Homey or one of those other places, I don't know if Homey's back where you guys are, but we just started another one. Homey comes out. It's like, oh, it sounds cool, but they want to make their money. The bottom line is they're not going to give you the best price because they don't want your house. They want to sell your house and make money. So if they give you top dollar for your house, then there's no profit when they sell it. So they're undercutting you so that they still have enough profit in it when they go to sell it because they're after them their own knowledge. So as I said, realtors are professionals. We have the required knowledge. We have the code of ethics. This is something that is great about the National Association of Realtors, Arizona Realtors, Maryland Realtors, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, all the realtors, we have this thing called the Code of Ethics. And it is a little plus. It's a plus to what's legal and what is okay to do. You know how you get somebody and they're doing something that's like, well, this is not illegal, but it's sure shady. So the code of ethics covers that little gray area in there. Is it tells us not only do we have to do what's legal, but we don't need to do any of the shady stuff. We should do stuff that benefits our real estate clients, whether it's a buyer or seller, and keep everything above board. By doing that, we we're really looking out for our clients. Not like, I'm not saying that Zillow and Open Door don't look out for their clients, but I'm telling you, they look out for themselves first. Realtors don't. We look after the client first instead of ourselves. It's I actually wrote some notes on this, and this is the simplest way I can put it. It's like the amateur versus the professional. Now, let me just ask you this, Pastor Jay. Would you pull your own tooth or go to a dentist?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
Would
good
you,
one.
if you had some money to invest, would you just go out and start putting money in the stock market, or would you hire a professional analyst who knows the stock market?
I will hire my husband.
Okay, there you go. Would you, if you break a leg, you break a bone, would you go ahead and set your own bone, or are you going to a doctor to properly set that bone?
That's
And,
good.
and last but not least, if you were involved in some type of criminal case, for some reason, would you go to court and represent yourself, or would you hire yourself a good criminal lawyer?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's my answer to all those internet. It's great to search. It's great to look. It's great to feel the market online. But if you use one of those methods, you take away protections for yourself because nobody's representing you. That's why you should hire a professional.
I totally agree. I really enjoy you talking about the different open door, and because some people want to go the shortcut way
Right.
and think that okay, I don't have to pay a certain fee to the realtor, 2%, 5%, whatever, 6%, whatever it may be. But you don't know what you're going to get, while you're on there trying
Exactly.
to maneuver and trying to purchase this house. And like you said, the professional knows the ins and outs, knows the laws, knows
Exactly.
you can't do that, or can cover you if you get into a situation that you can't get out of. So it's very important that people understand that a professional, like you said, hey, I'm going to the doctor if I break my leg. I'm not going to sit at home and try to, put some ice on it.
Come on, you can do that. You can put that ice on it and splint it up with a couple brooms or something. What's wrong with you? Can do that.
You could do
That's
that,
how,
but it's not going to set right, and so
exactly.
that's what we got to understand, that the professionals know what they're doing, because guess what? They've been to school for it. They got the
Exactly.
education for it. They are, passionate about it. So
Right.
I understand the professional is the right way to go. And a realtor, if you are looking for a home, you definitely need to seek out a realtor. Of course, Thomas, I don't know if you are you licensed in the Maryland area?
I am not. At one time I was going to get licensed in the tri-state area there and extend my brokerage, but I opted not to do that. So
Okay.
I'm only licensed in Arizona, but the principles are the same across the
Yes.
nation. Some
Yes.
places require a lawyer to close escrow, some states do not, but it's still the same process. That's why I said you can play this game, you just need to know the rules. You just need to know the rules for your jurisdiction, for your municipality, for your area of concern. And it's not that bad, but don't go playing it alone. Don't go setting your own bones.
I love it. I love it. So one more question, and the final question. Say that you have a older lady who's about 65, 70, and she just decided she wanted to buy a home or rent. She has a choice there. Would you tell her to go ahead and buy at 70, or would you tell her to continue to rent?
Well, that's going to depend on her specific uh, financial situation. If she has the income that she could support the purchase, then she's still going to be better off purchasing. I just want to say this. If you have the means, it is always better to buy because you are accruing an asset. Now, does that 70-year-old lady have a daughter or a son or a niece or a nephew then she can pass on that asset and it becomes generational wealth. And this is what, once you leave an apartment or once you leave a rental home, then that rental home is gone. Once you own a property, you can choose to extend it through the generations. And that makes it more, I want to say family friendly. It actually makes it grow, because how many of us have lived in a house where our parents were raised in, their parents were raised in, or first acquired? What happened is you have that generational wealth. Now that house hopefully is bought and paid for, and you're basically living there on the equity. You're living there on the grace of your family's generational wealth. And you can never start accruing that if you don't just do that start. You
Yes.
have to start. So that 70-year-old lady, I would say, okay, if you're paying $1,000 for a place and you've got $5,000, $6,000 saved up, go buy that home, because you are buying your family's future.
Yes.
You're buying, and we can't take it with us, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
can't take it with us. Whenever we're called, we're called. But those who remain can benefit from our uh, great financial management. And
Yes.
I will always say, if you have the opportunity to buy instead of renting, even if you're only going to be in the place for a couple years. Because property, just like now, I see properties all the time that 2 years ago they said 350,000. Today they're selling for 600,000. You
Wow.
know,
Wow.
so if that was a family who bought that house at 300, now their family, their generations get to benefit from that now increased value.
Yes. I have one more question for you. Say
Okay.
that you have children. You have children, and as you get old, you have purchase of home, and as you get older, your children are not on the deed.
Right.
When is a good time to put them on the deed as you are, you know, moving through life as a husband and a wife?
Okay, there's several ways that you can do that. Uh, you can use a beneficiary deed. You can put them on as I would opt or to find a financial advisor, or an estate manager is even better, because what you can do is you can put your house into a trust and
Oh,
make them the actual beneficiaries of
okay,
that trust.
okay.
So they're not necessarily on the title and deed, the trust is. But the trust says that once you pass, that trust responsibility, or the beneficiary of all the things in the trust, now automatically will go to that person that you've named in the trust. So there's a way to do it without actually putting them on the deed now. But if you have that concern, and you maybe have a an expectation of your lifeline or lifetime or passing, then get them put on now. That's my whole thing, is if you plan on having this person on your property, or giving this property to them, or even selling them for $1, which you'll see a lot of deeds are transferred for $1 within family, then go ahead and do it. You can put them on as an uh, and right, not sole ownership, but they have some fiscal uh, ownership of the property. Now they know it's your house. When you pass, you don't have to go through any grief hardly, because they are already listed as owners of the house. The other two owners, or other one owner, has passed away. So
Right,
now they have full 100% ownership.
right.
So that's something you could consider, and I definitely think you should do.
Yes. I've seen a lot of older people who have passed and owned homes go through, their families go through a lot, because this one says it's my home and that one says it's no, mama left that for me, but there's no written will or anything. And so it causes a lot of heartache within the family. So that's why I was asking that.
Well, I just want to comment on that, and it's not about the real estate. I used to have my financial advisor license in Arizona also, and I was an insurance producer. I just want to say this one thing. Look into what they call a living trust. Look into protecting your family from themselves. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but, we got some family. Everybody does. And sometimes things go upside down. Fortunately for me, when my father passed and then my mother passed, me and my sister are agreeable, so we're the two beneficiaries, and we've not had that this is mine, this is yours. But I know all too many families. I've sold homes for people that I've had to have the benefit check cut into six slices because all the six kids want their piece, even though one kid was told that this would be their house one day. So put it in a trust. A living trust is much better than a will, again, for tax purposes. Wills have to go through probate, which means
Yes.
the man is sticking his fingers in your money.
Yes.
Living trusts, they don't go through probate. It's an automatic transfer of the wealth or the benefit or the asset, and the man don't have nothing to do. Mind your business. Get out my money. Get out my family's money.
I love it. I
But
love
I want to say people fail to do either one of those too often, and that is where the problem is. If it's yours, you get to say who gets it when you're going,
it.
but
Right.
you better write it down.
Right. Absolutely.
Otherwise, the man, everybody else is going to be in your business.
Wow, Thomas, thank you so much. Such great information. Is there anything, that you have to say before we leave? Anything lasting remarks for those who are on Facebook and Zoom?
I will say this is, unfortunately, ownership for the minority community, including the Black community, has diminished. If you look at old pictures of your family, right, you see the old folks, the little kids with little dresses on and the suits and everything, because they were trying to come up. I think we need to stop trying to just present ourselves and come
My
up too. You
God,
know,
that's good.
we need to do more for ourselves. And then we don't have to worry about the man because the system's already set up for us to win. I do want to give one shout out, and that is to a book called The Whiteness of Wealth. If you read that book, and I'm reading it now, I'm not totally finished, but it explains how the tax code and how the basic management of wealth is stacked against us. Again, because we don't know, we
Wow.
don't have the knowledge. If you read that book, it'll give you some insight onto what you need to do to keep your generational wealth in your family. Whether
Now,
you're white, black, brown, purple, I don't care. But what's yours can stay yours because you can make it grow.
wow. Now, what's the name of that book and who is the author?
It's Whiteness of Wealth, and I believe it's Dorothy Brown.
Wow. Thank you so much. I hope you guys wrote that down. Get the book. Amazon, I'm sure, has it. Read that book
In
because,
fact, before we go though, while you finish, you can do your. I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna get on my Kindle here and make sure I
okay,
give you the right
okay,
title
okay.
and the.
We love to read. We love to be educated. We love to be empowered. So, again, don't forget to get that book, especially if you are looking to get a home or you already have a home. You got to know how to keep it and not allow, um, the government or whomever else may that will try to tell you or try to push you out of your position. So we thank God so much for Thomas Moore, Yolanda Moore, which is one of our program managers. Yes, it is her brother. I'm super excited and so proud of this Black man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do, and I want to thank you and your audience for the opportunity to basically share some knowledge. Ignorance is not bliss. I just want to say that. They go and say that ignorance is bliss. No, ignorance is stupid. Because once you have the knowledge, you can make the changes.
Yes, you can. You have to apply it. You have
Exactly.
to apply it. So everything that you said today, I pray that people will apply it and get their resources together so they can be those home owners and no longer rent. I'm telling you, God is opening up avenues for us to, become wealthy, and real estate is one of the ways. So God bless you again. Did you find the book name?
Yes, I gave the correct name. It is
Okay,
called The Whiteness of Wealth, and the author is Dorothy A. Brown.
wonderful. I'm getting that book for my husband.
Yep. You'll
Yes.
enjoy it.
Thank you so much again, Thomas.
Thank you
Um,
again for the opportunity.
yes. Okay, so stay tuned to this commercial. Everybody, please look at the screen.
It's the Jacqueline Renee Show with your host, Jacqueline.
Okay.
Okay, we're
You want
good.
to try again? Thank you.
Praise and Worship Temple, IHP, invites you to attend its life skill classes happening now for free. Life skill classes will be held in 6-week sessions every Thursday on Zoom at 7:30 p.m., open to the public. You can attend one of the 2 classes. Class 1, Bible Study Made Easy. Class 2, You Got This, Resume, Interview, and Promotion. Register today. It's free at ihptemple.org. That's ihptemple.org. If you need any additional information, please feel free to email us at info@ihptemple@gmail.com.
Hey, look, now, before we leave, last week we talked about mental health. So I just want to carry over some of the purpose push that we did last week. I want to talk about some of those this week. And so the challenge is to do something for the next 7 days. And what I want you to do is day 1, I want you to begin your morning with deep breathing exercises. You know me, I love to meditate. And so I want you to join me every morning and do your breathing exercises. And then day 2, I want you to schedule something fun to do for yourself. We have to just break out of this habit of just doing the same old thing over and over, and then we just bored about it. So schedule something fun to do for yourself. Go to the spa, get your feet done, get your nails done, whatever you find that it's going to be fun for you and relaxing. We want you to do it. And then day 3, schedule set a mini goal for the day. Something that like me, I got so many things that need to be done in the house. I need to learn to set the goal and just go ahead and get that done. And then, so day 4 is try a 5-minute meditation. And then day 5, journal and write down 5 things that you are grateful for that day. And day 6, I want you to budget 20 minutes of a home spa time. Okay, 20 minutes. Take time out for yourself. Do something, paint your nails. I mean, of course, the men can't do that, but, do some shaving or whatever, but, have fun doing it. And then day 7, donate something that you never use. You know how we buy these things, Amazon Prime, and I got so many things in my basement that been there probably for a couple of years. I need to bring those things out that are still in the box. And guess what? Donate it to somebody that actually can use it, because you never know. You're going to be a blessing in that. Now, let me share with you a few things, interesting facts, and Thomas can probably confirm with me about real estate. In 1876, the United States paid Russia $7.2 million for 375 million acres, or what we know as Alaska. Wow. Can y'all believe that? And then the most expensive house ever sold is a 300 million chateau in France. Wow. 300 million. Man, Thomas, how much could you get off of that one?
That would be quite a commission. I mean, that would set me very good. So
Oh, yes.
I'm looking for one of those for your audience. If they have a $300 million chateau, I'd love the opportunity to represent them.
Amen. Amen. And then also in 2020, according to the census, there were 9.82 million family homes sold in the USA. So people are buying. So that's a good thing, but we got to make sure that the minorities are buying, you know. So what is the percentage there? And so also the median value of a home in the US is $217,000. And the mortgage is usually like $1,595. That's $1,595. And 78% of home buyers, neighborhood quality is more important than home size. And 57% would rather have a shorter commute than a larger lawn. Wow. Don't nobody want to cut no grass.
Can I make a comment on that
Sure.
price?
Sure.
That mortgage price, and take that $1,500, and I want to tell people this: buy the home, then buy the car. You got people that's pushing up some heavy weight on that Cadillac Escalade or that, Super Crew cab instead. I drive through apartment complexes constantly, and I see these 5 Series Beamers, these Audi A8s, and these people live in an apartment, and I know their payment for the house is at least as much as their rent. Buy the house first. You can always buy the car.
I totally agree. And that just reminds me of my husband. We seen someone in a Bentley, and they was renting. Why you got a Bentley in the ghetto? Come on, buy your home. I have nothing against the ghetto. I do not, but
me neither.
I have everything against you buying a Bentley. I mean, a $200,000 car, and you can't even get a home. Come on now, something's wrong with that picture. So get that home. I'm telling you.
Like my grandma would say, that's trifling.
Guess what? You don't even have a garage to put that Bentley in. So guess what? If you bought that home, you have a garage and to keep that Bentley covered. So we just want you to do better. That's all. No offense now. No offense. We just want you to do better. So again, thank you, Thomas, so much for being on our show. And
you're quite welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
You are so welcome. And so our show next week, stay tuned. We're going to have my special guest, Lady Erling Lee, and we're going to be discussing from COVID to courage. And those who know Lady Lee, she lost her husband due to COVID, who is a pastor. And so she's going to tell her story, her and her daughter's story on what they had to endure. So don't forget next week. Stay tuned. Don't forget to always live, love, and laugh. And God bless you. Shalom.
It's the Jacqueline Renee Show with your host, Jacqueline Renee Duncan. Join us on Zoom every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for inspiring, informational, real talk conversations like breast cancer survivors, writing and publishing your book, pandemic updates, and minding your money. Remember to live, love, and laugh. The Jacqueline Renee Show is a Philip and Jacqueline Duncan Ministries production that airs on Zoom every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Enter Zoom ID 558-997-5815. We'll see you Wednesday on Zoom for the Jacqueline Renee Show with your host, Jacqueline Renee Duncan.
Shalom. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Yolanda. Bye, Key. Love you guys.